So Amanda Rohrbaugh, I work at Rocky Mountain Christian Church in Niwot. We have a campus in Niwot, campus in Frederick. I've been in ministry for 25 years, so done various roles during that time. I did kids ministry for 18 years, and then stepped out of kidsmen. I did a guest services role over both of our campuses for about a year. And then about 5 years ago, I became the campus pastor at our Niwot campus. 4 years into that, took on operations between both of our campuses. We shared that with my other campus pastor out at the Frederick campus. And then a couple months ago, moved into an executive pastor role. So I have had a long journey of ministry and at Rocky, and I never thought I'd be in ministry. Didn't grow up in the church. Didn't go to seminary, didn't go to Christian college. I, as a 20-year-old new believer, showed up at Rocky and started volunteering in Kidsmen in the 3-year-old class, and started out as a very part-time nursery coordinator. And really, I say our founding pastor at the time, his wife did Kidsmen. And I think she just saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I've been on the climb for the last 25 years. So ending me at executive pastor. So it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I did kids ministry for a long time, but when it was time to get out, I was ready to get out. And so I think I transitioned out of that and really have never looked back outside of those people reporting to me. So I don't miss it. I don't miss Kidsmen. Actually, I laugh. I'm like, if the one position I wouldn't go back to, I wouldn't go back to Kidsmen. I think executive pastor, I like a fast pace. I like a challenge. So I like just taking every single aspect of the church and being able to piece that together. So being over both ministry and finance, it just gives you a really big picture, of what our job is as the church. Obviously, we function partially as a business, and so there's a really important side to that, and we have to steward that really well. But then just the life change that you get to see in ministry, it just never gets old. And I love people. So I say no matter what role I have, as long as I can interact with people, I'll do any role. Yeah, I mean, it has to be a business. Because although our product is different, it's still a product, and you're still probably even more responsibility than just a normal business who's taking in funds. You're managing what people are giving sacrificially, and so the business side of that, in my mind, it just takes a tick up. There's a big responsibility. You're managing, still paying people, and I say to my staff often, hey, we're getting paid to do something that as believers, it's just what we're supposed to do. So other people are working a 40-hour-a-week job and they're showing up here on Sunday. We have this amazing privilege to just combine those two things. And it's a privilege, but it's a responsibility. And so there is a business side of that has to be done really well. And we should do it well and steward it well. So. Yeah, I mean, I've been there a long time. So I think years ago it was measured by attendance. People showed up, they came to church, they were regulars, they were coming every Sunday. It's kind of funny. I think COVID and just culture shift, engagement can no longer be attendance. Obviously, because people are showing up probably 1 in 4 Sundays if you're lucky. Colorado, probably 1 in 6. And I also think content isn't what gets people there anymore, because they can get content anywhere since COVID. You can go listen to whoever you want to listen to, 5 sermons in a weekend if you want, and you have access to the best content available. So when I think about engagement, your engagement better be high level, because that's actually what's making people show up every single Sunday. So the tension of that is really different and real in this culture and where we are after COVID. So what does that look like for us? I think we do some things really good. We do things not so good. We have a really big basketball program. So we've got about 1,200 kids in a basketball program that we are at both of our campuses. We're probably at 3 to 4 schools in the area. We've partnered with a couple local organizations. and just figure it out. You've got to find a felt need. So Colorado is very sports oriented, outdoors. So people will sign their kids up for sports, whether they are like Mormon, Catholic, like don't care where you came from. Are you offering something good for my kids? And for a lot of them, it's a first time exposure to the church. So we found engagement is like, what's a felt need? How are you fulfilling that for them? Helping them walk in a door that they're like, I never want to walk in this place, taking down some of those barriers. So we figured that out on the front end. The back end, not so much, because how do you take them from showing up to actually translating that to showing up in church or figuring out, like, I want to be a part of this place beyond that. It happens a little bit. We're not good at measuring it. We haven't figured that out yet. Not good at bringing them from point A to point B. So yeah, that's something we're still working on. I think just too, engagement in volunteerism right now. If you talk to people around the country, it's just not good. People don't want to give their time, and it's not super compelling right now. We've kind of created a culture in church. I think we pay a lot of people to do a lot of things, and once you go down that road, then just engagement falls off. Why would I want to be engaged in that? So yeah, we have a volunteer issue. People get in groups, but then what we've found is they engage in groups, but then they quit engaging in the big room. So how do you continue to help them engage in both of those things? Because they only have so much time to give, and they're going to go where the best value is. And so if it's group in that moment, that's where they go. If it's the room, that's where they go. So there's just some things that we're seeing. Yeah, I have a unique example that I can't give you the end of the story to yet. But we have a couple that showed up probably about 6 months ago at Rocky. And we were doing a series about kind of on deconstructing your faith. And so I think that is what intrigued them, to be honest. So showed up at Rocky, and probably a couple weeks in, started asking questions. I do this thing on Sundays where I'll go around and just chat with people, and kind of, people are new, introduce myself. And in that moment, she automatically engaged in a way of like, hey, what do you feel about LGBTQ? What do you feel about this? Like, what's your agenda? And a little bit on the attack. Anyway, long story short, she ended up coming to our like new to Rocky class and heard a little more of their story, which was this. They'd had a family member die. They had been part of probably several different kind of religious, just kind of feeling things out, and said, we see something in Christians that we don't see in our own life. And so we are here for the next year, every Sunday, to figure out how we feel about Jesus, how we feel about the church, and basically came to a class and said, you can assume I know nothing. And she started asking questions like, hey, when you say amen, what does that even mean? I don't know what that means. When you sing about rocks, like, what are you singing about? I don't want to sing about things I don't know. So we've agreed to have this engagement, and they come every Sunday, and they are fully engaged. They're in a group. They come, like I said, every Sunday. They're watching, they're listening, they're learning. We meet to be like, ask me all the questions that you think that you don't know. So it's interesting, fully engaged on a different way than maybe like the person who's like, I fell in love with Jesus and I'm super engaged. But this like exploration of like, hey, we're exploring this, and we're all in for a year. And at the end of the year, let's chat about how we feel about Jesus. And so we love that right now, and we're like all in with them. I meet with them for coffee and just love the questions that they ask me. And I'm like, you can ask me anything. I'm not afraid of anything you have to say. I love what I do. I think I told you a little bit. I love people. I love just watching life transformation. It's kind of funny. We're doing a series right now that everyone has a story worth telling. I think for me, I had a messy story. I didn't grow up in the church, didn't know Jesus until I was an adult. We have 5 kids who have at various times in their life, they're all grown and married now, but they've had their own journey of faith. And so when you watch that and you see how God works on the other side of that, both their life and mine, you just know it's worth it. There's a bigger story for every single person if they're willing. And I'm like, God called me to do this, and he continues to put me in positions to do it. So as long as he does that, I just receive it with open hands. And yeah. I mean, we've all been there. where you're showing up and it's like, is it making a difference? So I think there's a few things. One, you got to trust. Sometimes we don't know. Do what God calls you to do in the moment, whether that's a conversation, an interaction, a sermon, whatever that is on a specific Sunday or through the week, and let God do the rest. So I say often, like, I can share my story, I can share what God's doing in my life right now, and then you got to let God work. And so be encouraged by, you may not always see the end of the story, but you're a piece of it. So keep doing what you're doing.